Welcome to the 238th episode of News Dump, where we run through the hottest topics in the Lewis County news scene and discuss. I'm local man Aaron VanTuyl, joined by Chronicle executive editor Eric Schwartz, and we have a guest. Emmett O'Connell is here joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. You were on my podcast. I thought I would take a schlep down to Lewis County to return the favor.
Most people who come to Centralia do indeed schlep their way in.
Well, we just schlep for, cheaper Nikes, things like that, podcast episodes.
Pretty much, yeah. We are doing what podcasters on the grander scale call a home and home, I believe.
I think that's the term.
I'm so glad I finally got to do a home and home. Schwartz was
I was just a little devastated to come in today and just have no idea that Emmett was going to be here. Just like I had no idea that you were going to be on the podcast last week.
I told you when I showed up that he was looking for something a little bit more meta.
It's true.
That's something that I can provide up in Olympia. I think I should say the name of the podcast is called the Olympia Standard.
Yes, I was going to get to that. Yeah, you cover local politics and goings on in the state capitol. You do a good. It's a little more serious than this podcast, I'd say.
Unfortunately, so it's not something. and I think I said on that episode, this is literally the best local news podcast in the country, and it is a lot because of the stuff I can't replicate on my podcast. Cursing, irreverence. I don't know. You guys do a really good job. I don't want to lay it on a little too thick. Eric might think I'm being a little insincere.
I just want to credit where credit's due. When I heard you guys talking about that, and I think it's really kind for you to say that. And I'll say it is different than any podcast, but I actually think the credit for that goes to Chad and Courtly, our publishers and owners, because they let us do this. There was always an open question. This podcast was birthed in kind of like the transfer between our old owners who probably wouldn't be cool with a lot of what we do.
Yeah, the old owners were not paying real close attention.
They had other issues.
Or are they not where you say podcast people?
Not podcast people. There was other things going on they were concerned about. The reds and the blacks of certain ledgers, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
They were too busy to be worried about the podcast. And then Chad came in and he just liked it. So
nice.
Yeah, it was fine.
It is a bonus to have Chad, who thinks it's hilarious that we say dirty words and make
You often insult his personal friends.
I do. You know what? And I think he appreciates it. He can point to this podcast as see?
Yeah, it kind of does work like that a little bit.
But, happy to have Emmett here. As you can see, we're pretty low-key, so just jump in whenever we have something that interests you pop up in our little lineup here. We're also joined, of course, in spirit by sponsors Summit Funding, Shayless Outfitters, and The Roof Doctor. And with that, preambles, and first up...
No pomp and circumstance?
Congratulations, graduates. And more importantly, congratulations to you, Eric Schwartz. You successfully sent a photographer to every single high school graduation in the coverage area. How many was that? 18, 19?
No, we haven't hit them all yet. We have 3 more today. We hit one this...
Today? It's Tuesday.
I know. We hit one this morning, Turning Point, I think. And then we have... Visions in the Chehalis School District and Futurists in the Centralia School District, the alternative schools. Mm-hmm. We're covering those this evening. The photographers were quite shocked when I told them an hour before the ceremony that they were going, but they went, and so we'll have that too. And I think it was 12 or 13 over the weekend, and then next weekend's another big one, but not. We're over the hump now, at least.
Oh yeah, on the downslope to summer.
We still got some though. We still got Adna, your alma mater.
Well, Adna kids work extra hard. They're getting all their finals and everything in. They're not going to cop out early like these big city Centralian Chehalis kids.
Adna, Winlock, PL. Gosh, there's a few others. There's some stragglers, but we'll get them all. And the Centralia College, of course.
Yeah, CC's in what, like 2 weeks? Week or two?
Yeah, I think in 2 weeks.
All right. And then I don't think we'll be doing a sports dump this week, as sports in the high school level are pretty much over. But Brady Calkins, local boy, 2013 WFS graduate, is back at the U.S. Open at Oakmont this weekend. Thoughts on Brady Calkins? Either of you?
I enjoyed the spokesman story that you ran on the front of the Chronicle's sports page. That was very good. And we didn't get our own interview. Brady said he was done with interviews, which, hey, that's his right.
That is right. And I think the tone of the spokesman interview, it was a good story.
Yeah.
But it was also kind of like, look how much Brady Calkins has grown up after this viral story that preceded his last appearance in the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
Which detailed some of his extracurriculars on the Corn Ferry Tour and things like that, which I don't think he was like ashamed by the story, but I think he's probably just tired of looking like, yes, I'm older now. I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, I told you it had vibes from the Dewey Cox Walk Hard. I no longer do PCP.
Yes. To be clear, we're not saying Brady Calkins.
No, he just enjoyed a drink or two late at night, and then he'd come in, perform really well. But yeah, I know I did have kind of that vibe. The last Open was like, look at this party animal who still golfs really well, and this one was like, he's not a party animal as much anymore, kind of.
Yeah, he still golfs really well.
But hopefully we'll still cover that, the sports guys. The
yeah, I hope Brady does well at Oakmont. It seems like a challenging course, to say the least. Shall we go? Do you golf, Emmett?
No. Well, actually, I did once.
And that was enough?
Well, no. It was when I was married the first time. My wife had a relatives that lived out Gateway, and they had a pitch and putt. I'm not wondering if this was a bit of a local institution, so I'm wondering if you guys heard about this.
Gate Ranch Golf Course?
Yes.
Oh, we used to play out there. Yeah.
The closure of the Gate Ranch ended my golf career because it was, free or whatever money was in your pocket. Mm-hmm. And it's all grown up now and closed. Can't go there anymore.
No, I used to go out there at least a few times a year, especially for the family reunion. That's actually where as much as I know golf, that's where I learned the golf.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we used to go out there and, pick up some cheap beers on the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Gate Ranch.
Did you golf it with a full set, or did you just golf it with a pitching wedge, a 9, and a putter?
I'd usually just take like a 9, a wedge, and a putter out there.
Okay.
Miss that place. We should go hit golf balls against their will one of these days.
We should just show up there. It used to be free. Let us in.
There used to be a golf course here.
All right, news. First up, Onalaska High School natural resource students create edible landscape that will feed future generations of students. This is the Edible Landscape Project. It was started by this year's natural resource kids. They're renovating around the school's greenhouse to directly serve students by producing fresh food they can eat on campus. Walker Development and Landscape Supply donated the materials. In total, 10 apple trees, 8 European pear trees, 8 Asian pear trees, and a variety of fig trees that were grafted by students or Hoffman himself. Kevin Hoffman's the teacher. Were planted around the school's greenhouse this year. They've also added elderberries and some other plants that produce edible fruits. Pretty cool. Onalaska does a lot of interesting things like this, whether it's like the fish stuff or this tree stuff.
It's singular in our coverage area.
Yeah.
This is the natural resources class. Usually we go up there, it's for the fish because they raise fish.
Every year, like clockwork.
Yeah, we do.
When Onalaska kids throw the fish, it's going on the front page.
Do you want to be the one that tells them, no, we're not coming this year to take pictures of your fish?
See that disappointment in their little eyes?
People like it every year, so it's fine. There are some things like that, though. You're right. I'll drop everything and go.
Yeah, hell yeah.
What would you like to plant around the Chronicle, and may I make some suggestions?
I know what your suggestion's going to be, and sir, that is not legal to plant that in public.
We got some soil space out front here we could work with.
What would go out? What would grow out there with minimal?
I don't know.
Well, Himalayan blackberries.
Oh yeah,
okay, just plant some blackberries.
I don't think you need to even plant blackberries.
You just throw them out. They'll be there.
It's also like a protective barrier.
Sit and wait for a while.
Yeah, that's the one thing this building is missing is just like a wall of blackberries around the outside to scare people away.
If you wait long enough.
It's not going to be long and they're just going to be there. There's not going to be any discussions. All right, I liked this story. Vader City Council sends draft 6-year transportation plan to state for approval, discusses F Street ownership. I just like the small town discussion around what to do with this one street they don't own. Mm-hmm. City staff polled residents of that section of F Street if they wanted to have the city retake ownership of it. According to one of the guys running the survey, of the 14 property owners contacted, only 4 supported the city retaking ownership, with 1 maybe, and the remaining 9 either opposing it or saying they don't care. The amount of don't cares is just great to me. I just love the idea of city workers going to people's homes and being like, hey, what if we retook this? And they're like, go away.
How did they lose ownership to it?
There's got to be. I don't know the history
Lost
of
it in
it.
a poker game, probably.
I mean, the reason we're even at Vader's city town council meeting is we've got Owen Sexton, one of our reporters, and he's got 7 city councils that he's figured out because of the times they meet and the days they meet. He can hit them all in a month.
That's
like
nice.
he can't hit them all at all their meetings. So we're kind of experimenting there to try to bring some of our small town reporting back.
Spinning plates, man.
Yeah. So he's done. Let's see, Mossy Rock. He was at Winlock on Monday, so we'll have that in Thursday's paper. What else is Toledo?
Yeah.
All those small towns, bringing them back.
But yeah, Schwartz, I thought you'd be really interested in this story because you used to always talk about him doing some polling on F Street. Polling on F Street, folks. Back in my day, we just sent out a bunch of "you up" texts, and like these Vader City staffers, I also got 14 citizens saying, "No, I don't care," and who is this?
All right, that's pretty good. I'm glad we covered it now.
All right, next item. Washington. This isn't a Chronicle story, but I felt compelled.
It's a news release rewrite from the Daily World, I'm pretty sure.
Washington State GOP joins regional movement to end vote by mail. I like how this movement is always focused on in-person, hand-counted voting as if that's somehow more reliable. You're never going to convince me in this current political climate that hand-counted in-person voting is somehow more secure than the current system. Like a couple little old ladies down at the Grange are going to stop the hypothetical, statistically non-existent illegal immigrant from committing a felony and risking deportation on top of that to cast a vote that, even if they're not caught, wouldn't matter. But it's once again just Jim Walsh avoiding doing any meaningful work so we can spend more time firing up the people that haven't changed their TV off Newsmax in 6 years. Thoughts?
Is Newsmax 6 years old already?
Yeah.
It can't be.
I think it is.
Maybe.
Newsmax and what? OANN? I don't know why I'm explaining these to you. You're the...
What was that supposed to mean? I just started watching cable news this week just because I wanted to see this LA business. So I've just been hopping around from CNN to Fox and MSNBC. Still have no idea.
all right.
I don't think that the U.S. military needs to be there, though.
It sure doesn't seem like it.
No, but this is, I think the story notes, no, this story didn't note, but the Seattle Times noted that vote by mail is very popular with the people who vote.
They didn't even look at the last 2 polls that were done on this. Crosscut did a poll just about a month ago, and then there was another statewide poll by a group called DHM right after the election.
Mm-hmm.
And vote by mail has like a 70% approval rating.
Right.
Like people who really like it is about 40. People who kind of like it's like 30, but still. And even right after the election, it was super popular across the board, all demographics above 70%.
Wasn't there, I heard from somebody that works in a different auditor's office that, like the guy, what county was it? Is it Mason County?
Yes.
Had like an election denier voted into their auditor's office.
Yep.
And he got it and like looked at everything and was just kind of like, huh.
Pretty much.
Checks out.
It's like, I've been led astray. Yeah, I just think, what are we doing here? Come on, Jim Walsh, find something better to waste everybody's time about.
I want to give you a little bit more on this one.
Go for it.
If you go to the End Vote by Mail, so this is part of a regional effort, California, Oregon, and Washington. If you go to their website, EndVB Vote by Mail, VBM.com, yeah, I see Eric doing it right now. If you go to their contact page, it's literally like different things you can volunteer for. Literally one of the check marks, and I hope I can get a screenshot before they change it, is Black Ops.
Black Ops?
Black Ops. It gives you an idea of the kind of people behind the effort that that Walsh is joining here. It's not necessarily, super. I think they think they're super serious.
Well, this section that I would probably, if I was creating this website, title Recent Updates is called Intel Drops.
Indeed.
Oregon IP 37 officially accepted. Washington State joins the movement. And these are all just news updates. Intel drop.
And it has a very specific kind of graphic design which sometimes you find in certain specific suburban Spokane churches, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, I have an idea there.
Okay.
I'm imagining, I haven't clicked on this site, but I imagine it looks like a website created by and for somebody who exclusively sells guns.
Kind of.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
Sells guns for Jesus sort of
Sure.
vibe, sort of like the biblical the biblical
priority
justification.
transmission.
There you go.
Origin, Oregon, classified files unlocked. I can't even click on this.
Yeah.
It just redirected me to the Intel drop page.
You're
I
going to be on
know.
a
It
list
seems
now.
a little, doesn't seem very secure, does it? These are Intel drops.
All right. Well, glad to see that, that's still a thing. Next item, Chehalis man, 20 years old, starts his own flight school at the Chehalis Centralia Airport. This is Reed Bamelli, recent WFS grad. He just got back from after graduating this year at Charlie Aviation Flight School in Scottsdale, and he's now started his own school called Chehalis Guys Aviation. He's also got 8 students already. Either of you guys ever flown your own plane? Done like a miracle over the Mojave kind of situation?
No.
Yeah.
My son did do so. This guy got started. I shouldn't say this guy. Reed Balmelli got started in the EAA's Young Eagles program.
Mm-hmm.
Like 3 weeks ago, I took my son and daughter to this. They're 10 and 8, and yeah, you show up at the airport. A pilot takes them up for a flight, 10, 15 minutes, and then lands, and then you can just join this Experimental Aircraft Association Young Eagles program. That's what Reed did as well, except for he didn't just take the ride. Then he went through the steps. But it is kind of wild that program has the ability, like my kid is 10, in 10 more years, I can't imagine him running his own flight school, but that's kind of the genesis that started it.
Well, don't sell the boy short like that. Get him in there.
But they do hundreds of those flights every year. I just think it's a really cool program, and it's neat to see a local guy who has so quickly turned it into his career before a lot of people even get out of college.
Yeah. Would you go for a flight with him?
I'd go for a flight with just about anyone, yeah.
Or would you be like,
unless it's a Boeing. I'm not getting on a Boeing these days.
Not getting on a Boeing. It's just...
just the little ones.
All right. Next item. Oh boy. Long saga of a dangerous dog that has bitten several people near Winlock comes to an end. The dog's name is George. His owner, Randy Hall, didn't show up at the hearing of the Dangerous Animal Designation Board.
Dog court.
A guy in Winlock. So this most recent incident for George was sparked when a guy in Winlock found him dragging a leash along the middle of the road. The guy slowed down and the dog got aggressive. Then the guy heard someone yell at the dog, and the dog tried to jump through his window, presumably to bite him. And then, much like Happy Gilmore seeing the alligator that bit Chubbs' arm off, the guy realized it was the same dog that attacked his girlfriend a year or so earlier.
The dog was like gnawing on his tires.
Yeah.
Oh, that's happened to me.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
actually popped a tire.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, it was so scary.
All right, and then another time, someone called to report the dogs acting aggressive at the owner's house. So a deputy from the sheriff's office went to check things out, and the dog bit him on the leg. Anyway, this owner sounds like a real piece of work, and I'm sure he'll sick the dogs on whoever comes to take them away.
So, yeah, the owner has options for George. He can have George put down himself. The county can take George and put George down. Or he can, it's kind of like... cost intensive, but create like a county approved enclosure and have like the proper signs all around.
So a Sandlot situation.
Again, yeah, exactly. They need a wooden fence and a long chain.
And he has to stay in there forever.
forever.
So I'm from Olympia, okay? I have a process question.
Yes.
Is anybody surprised by the level of like, I guess, judicial fair play in this for dogs?
It does seem
for someone
the burden of proof is high here.
Yeah. No, the dog court is serious. We've had Isabel Vanderstoop, our former assistant editor here. She did like deep dives on this because she was so into it. Went into like the origin. If you know like the full picture of how we got to this point, it's not all that odd. But every reporter that has come since is like, wait, we have like a dog court? Like, yeah.
Every county has a dog court.
Yeah, but no one covers it.
Yeah, I guess nobody else cares.
Does Thurston County have a dog court, like a dangerous animals designation board?
It's literally the county commissioners, though.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Similar to our Board of Health, our Fair Board, I think, as well. Yeah, they just kind of turned around in their chairs.
This was the one board that the county commissioners were like, we cannot do this. We cannot have
don't want
these.
that hanging around your neck. No.
I still am a big advocate of them bringing the accused, like, to the court.
Yeah, set them up there.
Which spawns more questions. Are there dog lawyers?
They should be.
Is there a dog bailiff?
Do you mean a lawyer for a dog?
No, a dog who is a lawyer.
A dog who is a lawyer.
Right. That's
okay.
Almost what I meant.
Something else we'd have
to
settle.
Very, like, kind dog, a nice dog.
Right.
An advocacy dog.
Yeah, he's like, I get along with this dog, and I get along with you.
The dog's like, well, technically, I'm just a paralegal. I have to explain that. All right, yeah, dog, the dog board, just a fountain of content. And then the last thing I've got on here, did the county commissioners vote to remind the president that they're totally not a sanctuary county?
No, they did not, and that kind of a follow-up. There was a hearing today for the Board of Lewis County Commissioners. It looks like opponents to the proposed ordinance or resolution, outnumbered supporters, though there were a number of supporters there as well. Centralia City Councilor Garibay probably gave the most intense
you
public
were
comment.
Running that video when I got here, and it was powerful. Good for her.
Yeah, and she's an immigrant herself, and she very much took issue with Swope, Commissioner Swope specifically, who brought this resolution forward, as did a number of other people. The Lewis County Republican Party Chair Mitch Townsend was there in support, as were a few other people. Ultimately, Swope motioned for this ordinance, and the only other commissioner present was Lindsay Pollock.
Where was Scott Brummer?
He was not at the meeting, or he could have been in remotely. I haven't read the story yet.
I saw a comment that said he was in Europe. Why would he go to Europe?
Perhaps.
That cesspool of filth and communism, universal health care.
Get away from the
if he
war in
thinks
LA.
America's so great, why the hell is he in Europe? Get back here, Brummer. You got to vote to help Trump.
I'm not the guy that's like gonna get frustrated about people not being present. He should have flown back, yes.
Well,
but
make sure when he gets back you say bonjour.
It didn't get a second, so nothing happened at all. And there's really nothing set for it to come back. We've seen this before with other county ordinances, resolutions. Could come back, could not. And we'll see. But as of now, nothing happened whatsoever.
Would anything happen after this other than just
No.
I mean,
saying
it
words?
basically was, I mean, there's a lot. The ordinance is far more complex, I guess, than this, but it basically explicitly declares Lewis County as a non-sanctuary county and notes that the county encourages cooperation with federal authorities as long as it is allowed by state law. Mm-hmm. So, to your point,
Yeah.
I don't see that it does.
I
don't see that it does a whole lot. It did get the people going, though. It was provocative.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the proclamation, "Oh, Donald, please, please," didn't go anywhere. But in reality, I am happy that Scott Brummer got to go to Europe, and I hope he comes back a changed person.
And I feel that must note that I have no reporting whatsoever
I
that he
saw
is
a
in
comment
Europe.
on Facebook that said he was in Europe.
What was he doing in Europe?
You know what? He was on a fact-finding mission.
Yeah, what if he was there researching for his vote on the sanctuary?
Yeah, that'd be great. What if he just comes in with like a bunch of baguettes and a beret?
Smoking a cigarette.
It's like a wee. Yeah, I don't know. Brummer in France, like that would be kind of funny. I don't know why.
Oh, we are Facebook friends, and he has not posted any photos from Europe.
Well, he wouldn't admit it. Anything else before we take our break?
We can do a roundup at the end. There was a lot of news today. The Special Olympics torch run was going on. We had the sanctuary status, all the graduations. It's been quite busy, but we can round everything up at the end.
All right.
Hi, this is Jeff and Julie from Fairway Lanes.
Jeff and I met JSIC of Summit Funding at our bowling center, so when we fell in love with this community and it was time to relocate, we knew we would be calling Summit Funding.
They understand that everyone has a unique situation when buying a home.
He had already helped 2 of our employees get into their own homes. The Summit Funding team exceeded our expectations. It was a seamless experience with great communication from his whole team.
Thank you to Summit Funding for making our buying experience special and memorable.
All right, we're back from the break. It's time for segments. And first up, Tales from the Takes page. The only one I have on here, although I assume there are others, is Julie McDonald, who wrote about the sale of the Uncle Sam sign and the closure of the Hudson's Bay Company and how that marks an end of an era. My first takeaway was, Hudson's Bay Company still going?
I didn't know that
thing?
either.
It was totally a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know.
It was like the Sears of England.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
old money.
I thought it was just like once, like, selling beaver pelts went out of fashion, they kind of...
Now they moved on to, like teacups and other things people buy in England.
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes... Well, if only we had Scott Brummer here to tell us.
Our all of Europe expert.
Our European expert. I assume it was just like Euro trip for him over there.
The big news there, though, is the Uncle
Oh my
Sam
God.
building. Come
I
on.
know. Speaking as somebody that experiences Lewis County mostly through I-5, this is huge news. I don't know if you guys even knew
Yeah,
this
I
was
kind of
happening.
wanted to.
I think it's we take our takes on it are different because we live with this sign. We see it every day. It's like not all that remarkable. Like when you see it every day.
Yeah, as somebody who only passes through Lewis County occasionally, what's your impression of the Uncle Sam sign in general?
Well, it's definitely something that you wanted to see. Like I would literally heading down to Portland, I'd make sure I saw both sides because both sides would say something. And it's like the experience of going back on, Twitter or, going on to Rumble or Truth Social. It's like, what's the shit posting about this time around? Mm-hmm. And there's no regular update to it. So you had to take the opportunity to see it. Although Lewis County, I would say, is pretty well known for its roadside attractions because there's the big, what do you even call them? South of Napa.
Oh, the Gospel Monuments?
Yeah.
That was there south of Winlock. A really rich guy 20 years ago, 25 years ago maybe.
To the point where they had to put up no stopping sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. They actually had to put up no stopping signs around the original Hamilton sign too.
The takes were too hot. People's cars kept catching on fire.
Yeah, no kidding. Or they were slow readers.
Well, I mean, no comment from the Lewis County side there.
I'm excited to see. So the Chehalis tribe bought it. We haven't actually said that yet.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what they do with it, honestly.
They bought the land, not so much just the sign.
Yeah, but they bought the sign too. And that's grandfathered into a lot of stuff. There's a reason you don't see a lot of these billboards.
What would be the funniest thing they could put on the side?
I don't know. The Lewis County News with a K, News. They probably had the best one. You stole our land. We took your sign. That
was pretty good. That went kind of viral,
yeah,
too.
It did.
Yeah, our next mission is going to find the Lewis County canoes and invite
it thrusted them forward in the burgeoning Lewis County satirical space race. Because we've got 4 or 5 new
fact that we have so many fake Lewis County news parody accounts on Facebook. It really speaks to your work as a newspaper editor.
I think it helps. I like it. I'm still a Lewis County Herald guy. I'm not subscribing to any other satirical websites. I like their style.
They bought the land of the 3.5 acre property that's been for sale since March 1st for $2.5 million, according to Julie's column. And the sign, as it currently stands, says, "How many Americans will we leave behind in Ukraine?"
It's been like that for 3 or 4 years now. It was a callback to Afghanistan.
The other side of the sign, which says, "No one died in World War II, so you could show papers to buy food," kind of has a different tone to it right now. It's certainly not the one the late owner of the sign would have intended, I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was Alfred Hamilton's sign. He put it up in the 60s. He sold his family farm there in 95, and he died in 2004. And then I think some relatives were kind of running the sign and making their changes over the years. And then I think the latest sign updater also passed away, and that's why it hasn't been signed in a while. Or maybe they're still alive, and they're just like, you know what? It's not getting any better than these takes.
Nice.
Just left them there.
Is it a thing in Lewis County where people have their favorite message from the sign? Because we sell one that refers to Evergreen as being a haven for Marxists.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
I can't think of any. You live here and you just kind of go by and either roll your eyes or get a chuckle out of it. But it hasn't I feel like it was funny. This is the same conversation people have about Saturday Night Live. It's I feel like the sign was a lot funnier when I was a kid.
Right.
Yeah, and there was before it kind of went dormant. I'd say every 3 or 4 years there would be a message that pushed it to a point where we had to go write a story and get people's thoughts on it. And I think the last one on that was a reference to immigrants, something about the river, an implication that they would drown, and that wouldn't be such a bad thing, something like that.
Ooh.
But yeah, it walked, or not walked that line, it might cross the line in a lot of people's opinions here and there over the years. But
yeah,
interesting court battle there that resulted in it being able to be there. And I assume that the grandfathered in clause transfers over to the tribe.
Yeah, it should. The tribe should be able to put whatever they want on that sign.
I mean, just as a billboard, that's a valuable billboard.
It is. And I didn't always agree with the message, but I agree with his right to have the sign there.
Yeah. But what if everybody had the right to have a sign?
You know what? Everybody should. That's the First Amendment.
The
Everybody
freeway
should be
would
able to have
be a lot
a billboard.
more fun.
Yeah. Now we just have social media, and that's so much. But you know what? Nobody should have a sign. I changed my opinion. What else is on the opinion page lately? Any hot columns I missed?
Well, I know you're a big fan of John Braun.
Oh, what's Braun? You know what? What's Braun up to?
He thinks the Democrats overpromised and underdelivered on affordable housing solutions.
You know, he's really got the same wheel that McCroskey has. Only his is more tame, I guess.
I have a new McCroskey column, and
boy.
I'm pretty positive it's about the sanctuary ordinance, so you have that to look forward to.
Oh, yeah? Is he going to have some hot takes about crimes he didn't solve?
It could be. I don't know. I haven't read it yet. He did turn it in, though, and I did file it. Just haven't looked at it. Richard Stride, Father's Day coming up.
Oh, yeah. What are you doing for Father's Day?
I'll probably be working.
When is it Sunday?
It's always on a Sunday.
Well, I know that, but is it
If you were a
this
more
Sunday?
attentive
This
father,
Sunday.
you would know that.
Yeah, that's true. Do you
And
think
then
my-
I wouldn't
you-
have to raise the boy here in the newsroom.
You think my kid knows when Father's Day is?
Letters have been very from liberal letter writers lately, reflecting my liberal bias, according to many Facebook commenters.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, it's fine. I guess we were kind of slow on the news. We had the new Wayne Fournier column last week, but I think we talked about it. What exactly does a county commissioner do? A lot. When they don't get paid enough, just ask Wayne.
No, they've made the point that they do get paid enough.
Yeah, they wrote that letter. That's true. Sanders did too. But yeah, no. Other than that, I think that's a
But yeah,
a good
it
tour.
looks fairly tame. All right, new segment. History should repeat itself. That's what we're calling it. This is when I find a I don't know what Owen's look back in history is
You
really
refuse
called.
to it's called a look back.
Okay, well there you go.
Every single week. I don't know what it's called or whatever, but it's like a look back.
Yeah. Are you doing
Or
a
the
me
stay
impression
in
or
Yeah,
an
that was
Owen
you.
impression?
Yeah.
So this is from June 7th, 1955. An unnamed 28-year-old Knapvine man received a committing order to a psych ward from the County Superior Court following a disconcerting foray where he brought a shotgun and caused trouble at a bar, the
What?
Chronicle reported. According to County Undersheriff Henry Valentine, the 28-year-old appeared at a Knapvine tavern. This had to be Frosty's, right?
Wait,
Had
hold
to be
on. This
Frosties.
is the good old days.
The 50s.
I don't think the shotgun was like...
We also had kids stealing cars and causing a ruckus last week in
Yeah.
the 50s.
Oh my
We'll
god.
get
that was the
his,
40s.
His story gets better.
Okay.
He showed up with a shotgun, which he was told to leave outside, and he did. From there, though, things turned a bit violent and strange. It's like showing up with a shotgun was not where things got weird. In the tavern, quote, he drove the blade of a large knife he carried through a dog's foot,
What?
pulled it out, wiped it on his trousers, and then sauntered to the bar. There, he poured a bottle of pop into a man's pocket. Then he took another patron's hat, poured it full of beer, and kicked the hat outside. By that time, most of the tavern's population was outside.
Is this vaudeville?
Two deputies took the man into custody with no trouble. He asked if they were the, quote, dope investigators he had been looking for. They said they were, and he cheerfully agreed to accompany them. We actually have a clip of this guy.
I'm all about having fun. Get a couple of cocktails in me, start a fire in someone's kitchen, maybe go to SeaWorld, take my pants off. Anyway,
Yeah, that was good stuff.
It's a good Anchorman callback, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, good on Owen for pulling this one out of there.
I'm sure he'd be thrilled to know all these 75 years later that you're making fun of his mental illness.
Was he having a
I
psychiatric...
mean, he sounds
look,
like a person that was having a problem.
Oh, you sound like a person who's never been to Frosty's.
Sounded like a person who's never been in a psychiatric hospital.
Okay, fair enough.
Checkmate. No, I knew you were going to like that one. That one was a lot of fun. We'll have
I did wish they would have named the guy. He's probably on Knapvine City Council now.
we'll have another look back in Saturday's paper. I'm sure it'll be good. Owen's been doing a really great job with those.
Yeah.
Can I just say it's a really clever thing to take something old from a newspaper and republish it? Other people should do that.
Everybody should do that. I agree.
Do that with your podcast. Just like
We're not old
here's
enough.
bits and pieces from 3 months ago.
Or just find some really old TBW clips. Rerun them.
And we were talking about a couple weeks ago. I don't remember which one it was. Oh, it was with the booze club that launched after the Great Depression. There was a booze club where you could send a letter with a bottle of booze to your friend, like a form letter, basically. But then you had to send booze to 3 other people. And the writing back then, they had far less restraint on what they could write. So it was just,
yeah.
it's like
They were just,
it's just fun stuff. I love reading the old stuff. The older, the better.
yeah.
Unless
right.
it's the morning after the Centralia tragedy. We did a very poor job in that reporting.
Yeah, what was the tone of that?
Basically,
Glorious
the
murder of the Wobblies.
yeah, it was basically we don't need a trial. We already know who did it. Let's get him.
Local monster justifiably murdered in the streets. All right.
Selfish workers demand more money. Defend themselves. Must die.
All right, People's Champion of the Week. I've got the Grand Marshals and Honorary Rochester Citizen of the Day for Swede Day. Swede Days are Friday and Saturday, June 20th and 21st in Rochester. The annual festival features a weekend filled with traditional Swedish culture, food, and community fun. Highlights include the Swedish pancake breakfast, meatball lunch, strawberry short. It feels like this is all just like food.
Yeah, it is up until that point.
The parade and the festive maypole dance. No word on whether the 72-year-old community members will jump off the ceremonial cliff to celebrate the end of their useful life.
What the hell, man?
Is there a cliff in Rochester?
No, have you ever seen the movie Midsummer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was making fun of Rochester, though.
It's a Midsummer thing.
I didn't get either of your quips. I'm just like, why you want the old people to die?
Rochester's flat. That's the joke. There's
Well, there's the Mount.
Grand Mound. That's a whole different place.
Oh, I get
That's
it
true.
now.
Yeah.
Let's see.
All right, Grand Marshals are Dick Nancy and Stan Eriksson, and then Inger Svensson Ulery from Sweden is the first ever honorary Rochester citizen. She's traveled many years from Sweden to attend Swede Day, and they will also have a special interview session with her at Swede Hall. Do you think she will take questions about whether or not she finds Swede Days like in bad taste?
You're talking about like the people dressed up as like Vikings and things?
Yeah.
I don't think that's offensive.
All right.
Hold on. Rochester's an unincorporated community.
Yes.
Under what authority can they grant citizenship to
I
somebody?
thought that as well.
That's
Yeah,
a
that
good
seems a
question.
little-
Huh.
Rochester technically has no citizens.
Right.
Has Rochester declared itself a sanctuary?
They're not on the
Area.
list because they don't exist.
right.
Well,
so where
that
does
hasn't stopped Swinomish County from
Well,
appearing on the list.
They won't try now, will they?
So the 19th legislative district almost like comes in, like almost touches Rochester.
I think it's into Rochester, isn't it?
Okay.
After the last.
because I think we know who we need on the case
Yeah.
to determine the citizenship.
You know what? I'm sure he would love nothing more than to follow her around while ringing every number in his phone. We need ice here.
It's really close. Like Independence is kind of where it toes out.
Oh yeah, there is a little. It hugs I-5, but then it gets. Yeah.
It's a bit gerrymandered.
There's literally a twirl in the.
God, it really has.
They really needed.
Why is it like that?
A house or two here in this little corner of Rochester. Yeah, no, it looks like part of Rochester is and part isn't. I don't know.
All right.
Well, where does Rochester end, really?
Right.
That's a good question.
Rochester's more of a state of mind.
We deal with that all the time. The
Swedish state of
Rochester,
mind.
Grand Mound, and then people want to call just to the right side if you're going north when you get off that exit, Tenino.
Yeah,
Like Olympian
that's
calls that
Sunnydale.
Tenino right there. I would say you're still in. I'd call that Grand Mound, personally.
Yeah, I
Oh,
guess
I
you go
would.
like 2
Well-
miles further, like racetrack, then you're in like Sunnydale, right?
Yeah, it's still the Rochester School District till you
Right.
get, till you get
Yeah.
pretty far.
Yeah, I mean, it's really picking whatever you want because none of them are incorporated except for Tenino. So
Right.
that's the one where you're absolutely wrong when you call that Tenino, I feel like. But yeah. And then, like, there's the whole Grand Mound. Great Wolf Lodge has a Centralia postal address. So people will say Great Wolf Lodge in Centralia, which is not even in the county. But there you go.
Do you want it?
Nah, not really. I recently stayed a couple nights there. I don't think I'll be back.
You're not a water guy.
Yeah, I'm not a human soup guy. I hadn't been to a water park since I was a kid, and I really liked it as a kid, so I thought I was an adult. But I was there for like 5 minutes, and I was like, none
Really
of
loud,
this is sanitary. Like, this just feels dirty.
Do you guys want to hear the best clean bird I've heard somebody deliver to somebody else in all my years? Maybe it's not the best, but it's one of the funniest, and I think about it at least like twice a week.
Am I the punchline of this joke?
No, you're not.
Okay, then yes, I do want to.
So, you guys remember Papazon chairs? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like it's like a. Do you remember them? So there's like a base, and then there's like a half sphere, kind of like
Okay.
a wicker
I am
thing with
familiar.
a big cushion in it,
Okay.
and it's kind of propped up like that. And I was over at somebody's house, and they had a Papazon chair, and a buddy of mine was sitting in the Papazon chair, and somebody else walked in, and the buddy in the Papazon chair made some smart-ass remark to him, and the guy that came in just looked at him and goes, "You look like a bowl of soup."
Nice.
I don't know why. Every time it cracks me up.
It worked for you?
He did look like a bowl of soup. And what would you do if a bowl of soup were to be dumped upon your roof?
Oh, I'd sure as hell hope it was a roof doctor roof. Keep that soup off of me.
And you would hope it was a stew so you could just spray it off, and not like a runny soup that could.
Yeah, kind of
under
getting into
your
the weeds
shingles.
here.
Yeah. Emmett, do you have a roof?
Yes.
How is it?
It probably needs replacement the next few
Boy,
years.
do I have a number for you to call. And that
Okay.
number is 360-623-7094 to talk to the roof doctor in Chehalis. And also, Olympia. They have a Tumwater office, I think an Olympia office. And they make house calls. You call them up, they'll come out, check out your roof, hang out with you for a while, make conversation, give you an estimate on what it would take to repair or replace your roof, or maybe install solar,
Okay. I didn't have a piece of paper when you rattled that off, so can I just Google it?
Yes, or you
Okay.
can visit theroofdoctor.com.
Ooh, I'll remember that.
Yeah, definitely. The Roof Doctor has a 4.6 out of 5 stars. That seems too low out of
Far too
120 reviews.
Haters.
You can go to google.com to review them. But yeah, the Roof Doctor.
I've
Happy
heard
to
the
have them.
phenomena with them, the accounts for that 0.4 percentage is that sometimes they're not expecting the roof to be that good, like they wanted to get another roof in like 20 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like the running shoe phenomenon.
Yeah,
The better
yeah.
the shoe, the lower the rating is.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's just, it was too good of a roof.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, yeah, the Roof Doctor.
We're gearing up for Best of Lewis County. It's coming up soon. This is going to be the year Roof Doctor takes it. I'm
They
feeling it.
better.
I hope so. Like 3-time runner-up.
Siren's Banger of the Week. 2 men who were found drinking alcohol in public just before 3 p.m. on Saturday were trespassed from Washington Park in the 100 block of South Pearl Street and were issued civil infractions. I, for one, have never felt more compelled to purchase a Gadsden flag. Who among us has not considered or done drinking away a hot Saturday afternoon in a public park? Tyranny. I don't like it.
It's like the 50s all over again.
It is. You know what? Just like between this and that story about the harmless fella in Napavine with the knife and the shotgun, dumping beer in
He
people's
stabbed
pockets.
the dog, man.
You don't know. Maybe it was
the dog.
Maybe the dog bit him.
I like how they didn't just say he stabbed his paw. They were like, he took the knife and sunk it into his paw.
How did we not get a dog court joke in there?
Yeah.
I was just a miss on my part. That was my Siren's Banger.
Dogs didn't have rights back then.
It was the 50s here, right?
There was no dog.
There was
court,
no
yeah.
dog court.
There was this other Sirens item. A custodian at WF West High School reported there was a, quote, prankster in the building at 11:35 p.m. on June 6th. 6 to 7 girls and 1 boy were reportedly at the school to write class of 2025 in the parking lot and upend items in the school office.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Bravo.
They forked the field, too. I'm guessing they must have done that before they gained access to the building.
What is that? Just sticking a bunch of plastic forks in the football
Yeah.
field?
No, it's not that. It's something. Yes, that's what it is. Like, what else could it be?
Well, I don't know. Maybe this is some slang I'm not hip on.
Yeah,
you know?
after WFS had graduation on Saturday, but after their practice walk on Thursday, the seniors all had to go out there and pick up the forks.
Awesome. Perfect.
So that
Did
was
you guys
part of
do
it.
a senior prank?
We stole a shark off the dock in La Push and dumped it in the intersection in Forks. I'm from Forks up on the peninsula.
Nice.
And thought that would be enough, but we then went on a trip to Mount St. Helens, and then someone called us and told us that it was on the front page of the Forks Forum that next day. So it wasn't like a class one. It was just us kind of gooning around, and it happened to be graduation season. So threw it in
pretty
there.
We didn't have a senior prank.
Yeah, we
guys
had
have
one.
one?
We did. We climbed up on top of the roof of the high school, and actually, this is going to be kind of nice to talk about. 3 of my friends climbed up on top of the roof of the high school. Got some. We had some sheets that we'd painted, and we just hung them off. Like 3 o'clock in the morning, went back, woke up the next day, and by the time people were getting to school, they were already up there. But the friend I had, sorry guys, this is going to be the least funny
I
part of
like
the
it.
podcast.
I like it.
One of the friends I had, Chris Wilson, who was actually the driver in the caper, passed away this week. So I wanted to tell that story in honor of Chris and his memory and the fact that that was like 30 years ago, literally 30 years ago, probably almost to the day. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a good prank.
It was.
What did the sheet say?
It just said like class of 95. Actually, the worst one had, and probably the one that got us in the most trouble was one that said top this juniors. And our OPSEC was great because nobody could figure out who did it. But by the end of the day, our science teacher, Paulette Wilson, who also ironically just passed away this weekend, cornered me and said, "I knew it was you, Chris and Jamie. I knew you guys did it." And you're like, "Why?" And it's like, because usually you guys would be talking about this sort of stuff, but you're all quiet.
Yeah.
And I don't trust you, and I know you did it. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But the next year, when we said top this juniors, the next year, the juniors who are completely, class of 96. I think we can all agree that's a bad year.
A terrible year, yeah.
They took Weed Killer and painted class of 96 in the lawn in front of it. Yeah, that's a bit much.
We had that here too, Centralia. I think the Chehalis kids came over and did it. It actually was discovered because of our screw up in reporting. We reported that they were redoing the turf, and we had the wrong date for when the turf was originally in, and somebody was like, well, if that's turf, then I don't know what happened to the 2000 whatever I burned into it. They did it with gasoline and fire in the football field.
Yeah, we go hard in the paint down here.
They go well. I've been clearly watching too much Andor lately, because when I read about the senior prank and the 6 people running through, I imagined that it was Andor, and that they were trying to, pull off the perfect prank, but in serious spy.
Who's the what's his face? Your boy
Cassian?
No, the why am I blanking? The Forrest Whitaker character.
Oh, now I'm blanking.
Who's the Saw Gerrera in this situation?
I don't know. I probably know. It had to be one of the athletes.
Yeah.
One of them vapes, I'm sure.
Saw Gerrera wouldn't be in on the prank. He would be off, he would have blown up a car in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's
be
true.
Sucking the fumes out of the gas tank.
He would have had the gas. Like, yeah, I guess you can use it. I was burning down the school. If you can borrow it for that, I guess.
Got underclassmen with him. But you're here! Sorry, that show's in my head.
All right. Do you want to talk about Chehalis Outfitters? I hear there's a sale coming up.
I do. No, not a
Father's
sale.
Day?
It's like events. So we were talking about how I didn't grab the ad for this spot. And then
It's their 4th anniversary.
Yeah, here we go. So Kelly Earp, store manager, former Chronicle great, possibly Hall of Famer. I don't know. The ballot's not come
People
back
are talking.
yet. But yeah, the Chehalis Outfitters are going to celebrate their 4th anniversary since changing over from Sunbirds. They're going to do that on Saturday, June 21st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They're at the store, 1757 North National Avenue, if you need to know, Aaron.
It's by Staples.
And all I'm seeing just in a first glance at this email is lots of stuff with the word free in all caps next to it. So if you go you're going to get free samples, free hot dogs for the first 300 customers.
Okay.
Free popcorn and free cake. There's also going to be food trucks there from Steve's Wicked Kettle Corn, Duke's, Two Brunettes, and Kona Ice. Live 95 will be down there broadcasting on site. If you can't get KLA, Live 95 is fine. Free pressure canner gauge testing. I know that's important to you.
It is, yeah. I can try to figure out how to can
and
this
a
spinach.
free kids fishing pond. So maybe I'll take my kids down there. This is the pond where it's just like a vat, and you fish the fish out and then throw them back in
a
there.
Kiddie pool full of fish.
And that's on Saturday and Sunday, June 21st and 22nd, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Oh, man, between this and Swede days, I don't know how I'm going to divide up my time.
I know. I agree with you. There's also a fishing seminar coming up on Saturday. I think that's this Saturday.
Did you call it a fishinar?
A fishinar, yeah. No, it's a fishing seminar Saturday, June 14th. It's free. Let's see. They'll talk. I'm trying to see. Learn to cure your own bait at free fishing seminar.
Go on.
Lee Barkey is the angling
the
expert.
fishing guide.
It's going to
Okay.
be 10 a.m. on Saturday. It's going to be held in store. It's for all ages, all experience levels, no cost. Kelly says, this is a great chance to ask questions, see the process up close, and improve your fishing game just in time for the summer season. Plus, it's totally free, and we have great deals in our fishing department all day, too. No registration required. Just show up at 10 a.m. on Saturday, June 15th. That's what's happening at Chehalis Outfitters.
Wow. Great ad read, man. You nailed it.
Thank you.
Facebook comments of the week. On a story about mass shooting devices, this gentleman writes, also, mass shooting devices up there with the most ridiculous fear-mongering phrases ever uttered by a politician. If you have to make up imaginary terms to sway people, it's a sign that your crusade is probably stupid. This guy is literally firing a shotgun in his profile pic.
Well,
just calm down, man.
But was it the Napa Vine shotgun?
No.
I'm good at the callbacks.
I think that was a Washington State Standard story. I'm not sure.
Is that a cornfield? I think it was.
Are you considering legal action, by the way? Did you exist before the Washington Standard?
We did, and we've sent them a strongly worded email to welcome them to town.
Oh, good,
and
good.
Beg them to write about us. So didn't work. Though.
Jerry Cornfield hasn't taken you up on it yet.
No, he has not.
A slow news day will come.
If
Just a
only
matter
you
of
knew
time.
somebody, a prospective.
I know.
Yeah.
A good time to remember to note, our assistant editor, beloved lead reporter, Emily Fitzgerald, will be joining the Washington State Standard next week, I believe. But tomorrow's her last day at the Chronicle. I'll accept all thoughts and prayers and any content to fill the massive news hole that she will leave behind because she wrote. I don't think I've ever worked with anyone that could write as fast as her. She literally would get done with a deadline and she had like 6 stories in there. And before she would go home, she'd file like 4 more just from court. She's just a machine. So best of luck to her at the Washington State Standard. They're really lucky, and it was a very smart hire.
Let's see. On an unmarked video of something, perhaps the torch run, you really need to label your videos, man.
Yeah, you know what? I lost control today. I had the NVN deadline, so I couldn't really monitor our social media stuff. Cody was sending me some videos. I was labeling those. Chad was doing some live videos too.
Chad under the bus.
I'm not throwing him under the bus. He was our means of conveyance. He was driving the golf cart rather than running in the torch run, but he was helping Cody get from like Napa Vine to Chehalis. And he was doing some videos. I was supposed to go back and add titles, and I just didn't. I ran out of time.
Wait, but what does the comment say?
The comment says, such awesome example to the kids jaywalking in front of a school and police. Great work. It's a fucking fun run. Calm down.
And I don't think anybody was jaywalking. They like went to the Bethel school. Was it that video? Like they were like on the
I
sidewalk.
didn't watch any of the videos.
Claim the streets, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just like in front of the cops. Like, what? You think they're going to stop the fun run and arrest you for jaywalking?
It would be kind of hilarious if they like got really serious on everybody else following jaywalking rules as they were running on the roads.
Yeah.
Like that would have been pretty good.
Let's see. This is on Julie's column on the Hamilton sign. This commenter says, in your writing, you have hid your real feelings. You have skated around that you do not like the sign. And what is this? The Indians had to buy back their land. Like,
This is the part where I remind everyone that Julie McDonald was.
I'm getting there.
Okay, all right.
Another commenter, very biased article, if you could call it that. It's a column, for God's sakes. Just read the first 3 words of the post you're referencing. And then another comment, the Chronicle isn't a reflection of the people of Lewis County. The Chronicle is a reflection of inner city people. What does that mean exactly? That have moved here, IMO. You should let lifelong Lewis County resident and Chronicle publisher Chad Taylor know, or better yet, lifelong Republican and Lewis County resident and author of the column, Julie McDonald. What are you talking about?
I don't know. There's a certain segment where it's an insult. Like the first time I saw it, I was confused. I get it. I was a little confused where it's like we had a reporter, you recall, who worked an internship at the Seattle Times, and there was a post on Facebook attacking her, and the only information was she used to work for the Seattle Times. Like, get her out of here. It's like, we scored a sweet reporter like from the Times, and you guys are trashing that. But I think that's where that comes from a little bit.
Yeah.
I've not been here my whole life, but I have been here since, 2003?
Johnny come lately over here.
22 years?
Yeah, it's just the idea that, like, the Chronicle is secretly the inner city people what inner city people that have moved here?
I did see one commenter because we used Owen Sexton, our reporter's photo of the sign, and some people get confused because the photo credit is right above, and then there's a byline, but people see just the photo credit, and so the comment was like, Owen, you're worse than Lynette Hoffman at the Lewis County News, which, as you know, I took extremely personally, and it was also laughable, but I mean, nobody's worse than that. So. Anyways, continue.
Next comment on Jim Walsh trying to end vote by mail after several successful decades and zero evidence of fraud. This commenter says, Jim Walsh is behind this? The most useless man in Olympia?
Okay, no.
Is this your comment?
Because he's not in in Olympia. He lives somewhere else.
Yeah, I was telling Emmett, that was what one Emmett fact I remembered was his, I wouldn't call it a crusade, but a Twitter movement to stop calling legislative things Olympia things by default.
And I would really appreciate that.
And you're guilty. Embarrassed yourself in front of Emmett.
And then on a picture, I think this is from Derek Sanders, the Thurston County Sheriff, of a crashed car with a Marlboro logo on it.
Oh.
Bet he loses his sponsorship.
Yeah, that crash was crazy. The photo showed the mangled car with the Marlboro, big Marlboro decals on the side. And then the engine probably I don't know how many feet down the road. So they hit so hard that the engine popped out and went flying down the road and was a separate scene unto itself.
Yeah, there was a lot going on.
It's a shame to see the car go, though.
Yeah, how do you think he got? And why did he have a Marlboro logo on?
And why was he visiting Thurston County from Lewis County?
Yeah,
it's all questions I have.
Also, I've noticed something on Twitter and people talking about Thurston County. Like the New York Post now picks up Thurston County stuff, and somebody noticed that they had written about Thurston County previously, and it's like, why is it always Thurston County? And it feels like we're becoming kind of a Florida man.
You think so?
Yeah, it almost seems that
like
way. It seems like there's so much known about crime in Thurston County now that it's so easy to cover that we're kind of getting a reputation.
I think it's probably partially the Thurston County scanner.
Yeah.
Facebook account, which is hugely popular.
Sanders,
that and I was going to
yeah.
go like Sanders being so online that he's just everywhere. And so, yeah, it makes it, I don't think it makes it more newsworthy, but it makes it more visible for sure.
I think the Sanders phenomenon is like really interesting. Just that, like in United States sheriffs that gain a name for themselves have almost always been right wing, constitutionalist. I did the air quotes. Nobody can see that. And Derek Sanders really is not that, but he's not to that extent. I mean, he's not Sheriff Joe Arapaho or.
I would say he's not. I mean, not very political at all in that way. I think he's institutional. I mean, this guy's some great Olympia Standard content, by the way. He's more of an institutionalist than a politician. He's there to build up the sheriff's department and build up his deputies. And whether or not that seems like it picks a lane politically, that's kind of like failure of other sheriffs who have framed their offices in that way.
Yeah.
And that he's just extremely energetic.
So online.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, so we're all familiar with what the Florida man phenomenon is and why it exists.
The records law.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You can get their mug shots easily, and Florida. I tell people that, but nobody believes it. They just think Florida's
it's true. Yeah,
people want to look down on Florida, and you know what? They're right to do so. It's a garbage state full of terrible people.
Lewis County, I felt like when you were describing how Thurston County is becoming, I've long thought that we had, like, it's more rural, so it doesn't have the same grab maybe population-wise, but it did seem for the longest time, especially as I was a crime reporter, I think I noticed it more, but we didn't really make any other papers unless it was something like Packwood man steps on explosive mole trap, or... 2 Glenoma residents arrested for having sex with dogs, or
it's almost like we could create like a newsy rhyme, just like if it's something, it's something. If it bleeds, all right, bleeds. Not
right after the dogs, man. Come on. But that's like a small portion of our crime, and then I feel like now so many newspapers have just abandoned the crime beat for good reasons. In a lot of cases, I get like the online footprint, and all of that. We have not made that pivot. We've changed some things, like our sirens report, so we just have more crime. And I feel like I've had readers say that it gives the effect, and they're like, well, do you not want to read that news anymore? Like, oh, no, we want the news. But it just seems like we get a lot more than everyone else, and there's just very few crime reporters anymore. I need to hire one, so if anyone knows of one, please send them my way.
A reporter that does crimes.
They can do crimes as long as they report on them well when it's over in the first person.
The first-person crime stories, yeah. I'm drinking in the park right now.
But I left my shotgun outside.
What news items did we miss that you want to touch on?
Let's see. Let me just dip into the unedited file and see if there's anything late and breaking here. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Rochester canine trainer accused of manslaughter back in jail after posting $250,000 bail for allegedly violating a court-ordered anti-harassment order. So before we could even report that Wayne Curry was out of jail for killing an employee, he is back in. I haven't read the story yet, but I'll make sure that gets on Chronline by the time this podcast.
Yeah, that guy's had really just a quick downfall.
I would say, yeah, and it feels like I have to state we haven't talked to Wayne Curry. If he has a good attorney, he probably shouldn't talk to us. But I've never in my life of reporting have I ever gotten more feedback from not readers but people who have been affiliated with that business, just alleging more wrongdoing. We haven't got one message that's like, hey, you're doing this guy wrong. He's actually a good guy. It's more, did you know that he actually did this? Have you read this court record? Do you know what happened to these dogs? And all of it's very sordid. So I don't think we're going to be off this story for a long time because if I get a crime reporter, there's like 4 or 5 different rabbit trails that we're currently running down right now to try to follow up. But I think there's more to be said about that training facility that we might find out in the future.
All right.
My short career as a reporter in Montesano, there was a term for
We had the Vidette?
Yeah, I was with the Vidette. Yeah,
It's one of the best weekly papers at its prime.
it was so good.
It was better than the Daily
we
World.
We were able to write like 1,200 word articles. It was amazing.
I locked up a story share agreement with them once, and it was like a good day. It was just like, because your guys' stuff was great.
Yeah. So they would actually, I don't know where it got picked up, but it would happen like if like a school principal or somebody was having like a bad day, and then there was a pile on. They would just, usually it was basketball coaches for some reason, but they would just call it the horror show, and just like shit would just keep on rolling, and then you'd be like 3 months later still writing about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what this feels like. For sure. I didn't know you were a Vidette guy.
Yeah, Vidette, then Daily World. Well, actually, the Olympian, then the Indian Country News, Vidette, Daily World, back to the Vidette, and then out to
Wow. I didn't even know you were a newspaperman. That's awesome. That's cool. So you were at the Daily World. Who was the boss there when you were working out there?
Oh my God, he just retired. John Hughes was a publisher, but I mostly worked on the sports page. So
but you got to work for Hughes. That's a feather in the cap, I feel like.
Well, he never actually edited my work because I was doing.
He was in the building.
You would see him cruise through, Burlingame would be
If you
there.
wrote something controversial, the editor probably snuck a copy up to him.
Maybe, yeah.
Editors do that from time
most
to
of my
time.
stuff was getting edited by Rick Anderson. But
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was on
Rick
the
was
weekend.
good.
I was on the weekend sports desk, so I would
Okay.
like go out to like football games in North Beach and then come back and man the phones.
Daily World still does a good job on sports. Ryan Sparks
Ryan
out
Sparks,
there.
he does a nice job. Yeah.
They have our longtime editor and publisher, Michael Wager, is now their editor.
Oh,
out
yeah.
there. So
Yeah, he
I still
hired
get to
both of
talk
us.
to them. Yeah, he did.
I remember Michael Wager when he was with the Squim paper.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jeez, I didn't even know he was with the Squim paper.
That was a way long time ago.
Still, it's a long time.
Yeah, he's a Port Townsend guy.
Yeah, Moses Lake guy.
Yeah.
Look at us remembering guys.
Yeah, I remember. All right.
Hold on.
What
Let me
else
see
is in your
if there's anything
folder?
else in this folder. Okay, if you were a scanner listener yesterday, as I was trying to figure out why they were chasing around a Dodge. It sounds like a harried chase. Centralia man accused of intentionally striking pedestrian in Centralia on Monday. This is a 19-year-old Centralia man.
Got struck? Or
That did the striking. I don't have info. I haven't posted. These are 2 stories that I'll definitely get up before I go home tonight. But yeah, he was arrested and booked into jail yesterday. Previously got into an argument with the man and then followed him in his vehicle. Alleged intentionally hit him as they were standing outside a car. Anyways, lots of other details there, but that was the cause of all the sirens yesterday afternoon, and not Aaron committing indecent exposure.
No, I wasn't caught.
Remains at large. What else do we have? Winlock 3rd grade spelling bee winners. I know you look forward to that every year. We've got Centralia College announces its outstanding student awards. Chehalis graffiti nuisance. I believe the ordinance passed that makes it to where if somebody puts graffiti on your building, you have like 24 or 48 hours to get it down. So it kind of puts the onus on the business owner. Councilor Kevin Carnes was not in favor of that.
I'm kind of with Carnes on this one.
And then one near and dear to your heart, Aaron, as someone who suffers from this affliction chronically.
Are you going to do?
I had the intern write up a update on the swimmer's itch situation in Thurston County. I'm doing it for you, Aaron.
Sometimes it do be the ones closest to you.
There always has to be a patient zero.
So a lot of times, you're a Thurston County guy, so you probably like some random times the Chronicle reports in random spots of Thurston County. It's
Indeed.
because we have the Nisqually Valley News as well, so we will run it, and then I'm not a guy to turn down free content, so I'll just run it. If you look at our readership, at times we have more readers in Thurston County, Olympia area than we do in Lewis County because there's more people for one, but because of that content as well.
More people that can read, you mean?
So that's how the people will find out about Swimmer's Itch at Lake St. Clair and on the Wanch Prairie at your home.
Yeah.
Then all the other stuff I mentioned, Torch Run, we'll have a big story on the sanctuary talk and such other news.
Okay.
How do we listen to the Olympia Standard?
You go to the olympiastandard.com.
Is there supplemental content that you put on there, or how can we do this better? Like, what's
Yeah.
something you're doing that we could do that would
Give us some ideas so we could steal them.
I think
You
you
should
guys
log in next week.
I mean, I
the
think-
News Dump Standard.
I think I wish the Olympia Standard was more like this podcast. I think it would be very hard to do in Olympia simply because of the nature, like the self-seriousness that Olympia gives itself.
Think so?
Yeah. Oh, so much so.
Is that another word for pompous?
Indeed.
Haughty?
Indubitably. No, I think no notes. No, I mean maybe bring on. You do have the Commissioner Wayne Fournier on every once in a while.
5-timer.
Yeah.
I think if you brought in more elected officials, that might be a good idea, giving a little bit more of a little bit more of a variety. But that would be about my only note.
Did you hear us when we had Derek Sanders on?
Yes.
Do you remember what crimes he would make legal? Prostitution and carpool lanes.
No, he would make carpool lanes illegal. He
Right,
hates
and
carpool lanes.
prostitution legal. That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh, you
Those
make-
are
okay.
the two changes, which I still find humorous.
Yeah, it was wild that was the first place he went.
And you have your most recent episode was June 7th. Are you on a set schedule? You
Yeah,
publish
I
each
record
day?
it. I record every Friday except next 2 weekends because I'm going to change in my schedule. I'm recording on Saturday. Anyway, so the format had been historically we would go like an hour and it would be me and a co-host, Danny Madrone, who's now on the Olympia City Council, would pick a topic, find a guest, and roll for about an hour. That was hard to sustain since Danny left the podcast. So I sort of slowed down to the point where I didn't release an episode for an entire year. And then
That's the dream.
Oh man. And so I got back into it this year. I started thinking about the format, and so I'm down to like 25 minute episodes, which seems sustainable for one person. I record every week. Sometimes I take something that I've already written and read that into the podcast. And I have a blog on the side as well that I write on a lot. So splitting between that and guest episodes where I bring somebody on and talk about stuff. And
Where's the blog? Where can we find that?
olympiatime.com.
Okay.
And that blog has existed since you've been Lewis County.
Okay.
That was like as soon as I left newspaper work, I decided I wanted to keep on writing. And so I started a blog like many soon to be middle-aged white men will do.
Those who don't have a blog have a podcast.
Oh man,
And if you're lucky enough, have both.
I went to your blog, and the very first item just grabbed my attention. The unsold MGP's Wendell Berry.
Yeah.
Can you give us what is that about? And am I interested in
That-
asking you if we can run it?
You have my permission to run it. It's a little
It's not
bit-
ready yet.
That's how he gets all his content.
It's about the current 3rd congressional district representative. God damn, why am I thinking?
Murray
of her?
Gluesenkamp-Perez.
Murray Gluesenkamp-Perez. Sorry, it's really hot in here, guys.
Yeah.
We shifted. We're the first paper to shift to MGP as a style in the
Nice.
headlines, so you can use that as well.
So, and basically talking about that that now a lot of people in the Democratic milieu are complaining about her being a turncoat, essentially not voting for the things they want her to vote for, and starting out talking about that she's not the first representative from the 3rd congressional district who is a Democrat to do this. That I was an active in the Democratic Party when Brian Baird basically made a roadshow of it, talking about how he was suddenly pro-surge in Iraq, and that Jolene Unsold, who is from Olympia, from the West Side, from quite the progressive family, very evergreen-centric family, was actually pro-Second Amendment, and that gave her a lot of grief when she was running as a Democrat. And so that MGP wasn't the first one to do this, and that when you get down to it, her and this is something that actually I've not been paying that close attention to the 3rd congressional district since I don't live in that district, but that the last few months I've been reading more of what she's writing. I've been listening to more podcasts with her on it. That her political framing is very unique, very local to the 3rd congressional district, not something that can be replicated in national Democratic politics, nor should it. And it's the national Democrats who are complaining about her are absolutely missing the point. And if this was an era where
Aaron,
How dare you?
where if this is an era like 50, 60 years ago where there were fewer people in congressional districts, by the way, the size of Congress hasn't been increased in almost 100 years. So that means they're representing more and more people every year. That you would find more people like MGP, more people that like actually represent their congressional districts authentically rather than being some carbon copy of like a national version.
That's a good point.
I love this column, and I would like to run it.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I will. That's wonderful. The Brian Baird situation you mentioned it off top, I remember covering the town hall at Centralia after the brown shirt comment, which got him into a lot of trouble, just responding to his support for the surge. And they had cops lined up around the front.
Oh, my God.
It feels like it very much in place these days, but then it was just like kind of jarring. Like, I've covered all these town halls. Why the hell do we need a line of cops now? Like, but yeah, Tea Party days.
Good times.
You remember those rallies, Aaron? Where's the logic?
Right in the middle of my was. Emmett, you've been great. Thank you for stopping by and hanging out. It was so nice to do a home and home. This feels so cool to say it.
Who's Duke and who's Prairie View though?
I think you're Duke. You're like more like a classy, but Schwartz
more
is
refined.
a big Tobacco Road guy.
That's true.
Yeah. But no, it was great to have you on. We'll get you back one of these days too.
Thank you.
We are sponsored by Summit Funding, Shayless Outfitters, and The Roof Doctor. Leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts if you want, or send us an email at chroniclenewsdump@gmail.com.